schools in Germany, we'll definitely have a session where I do a session in that language. Okay, so I am going to be largely in English, but yes, of course, thank you. I've got fair enough hints. So now, as instructed by Sir, I'm going to share, though you've already seen the screen, so I'm going to move to the second slide today. And each one of us, whenever there's a question, I get to see on the chat box in my, the audience as I've shared it with you. Right. So a quick question, it should come to our minds that why financial literacy for kids, right? Because so there are two questions I want each one of us to answer today, because I promise that by the end of the session, most of us would definitely be able to write a few stories on financial literacy or get inspired to write and create some stories. And of course, you'll be able to narrate and start thinking on how to get inside the child's mind and talk about this specific skill that is a financial literacy skill. So let's have a few answers. How many of you feel that we should have a literate or an illiterate generation? I'm sure this question seems quite irrelevant. Who talks about being illiterate? I mean, everybody has to be at least literate, and we talk about knowledgeable. Okay. But still, I mean, how many of you want a literate or an illiterate? Would you like a yes or a no? You can use a literate generation. Great. And how many of us really feel that everybody should be financially sound? I'm not talking about rich, or, I'm not talking about hoarding money, but how many of you feel that each one of us should be financially sound? The other side would be financially dependent. What would you prefer, a sound or a dependent? Okay, I get a lot of thumbs up. I'm referring to the chat box as I've mentioned. Okay, yeah, it's a very good idea, because agar financial sound, I mean, everybody is financially sound. It is like sarve bhavantu sukhina, that kind of a thing. Everywhere, it will be nice and happiness. Otherwise, people will keep fighting. So very quickly, today I'm going to take you inside the elements of a story first. So आज का session, in today's session, a little bit of Panchatantra, a little bit of Jatak Kathaएं, a little bit of Hitopadesha, and of course, a little bit of Dadi Nani ki kahani. So that is how we are going to bring in the session today. So I want each one of us, wherever you are sitting, wherever you are from, you must have a notepad and a pen with you. Ideally, it's a very, very good idea to have something with you so that you can make a reference point wherever you wish to. The rest of us and all of us, I request each one of you to please open your 5 fingers like this, as I'm opening on the screen. It could be, any right or left hand, any. Just open your 5 fingers. Yeah. So what you see on the screen is elements of a story. Correct? Right. Now, elements, there are minimum 5 elements. There could be more, but I'm talking about minimum 5 elements. So we can have definitely more sessions with more elements sometime, but I want each one of us again to keep your 5 fingers open. So any story, matlab koi bhi kahani, any story has these minimum 5 things. So what is there? So what you see over here is there is an idea, right? So now let me actually open up a laser pointer for all of us. So that will help me keep pointing. So I'm talking about the idea, right? So every story has an idea. You can put any finger. I'm just using my thumb. Every idea means what is the objective of the story? क्या सोचकर कहानी लिखी गई, right? कुछ कहानी के अंदर जरूर होगा. The second element of a story is all about a plot. Plot means what is the setting, where the story is happening, what is the time, that at what time, what point of time the story is happening. That is a plot. Okay, Sandeep sir has reached, I can see. Okay, yeah, so you can settle down. I'm in the elements of the story. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so now if you see, in most of the stories, we have a character or characters. Agreed to me? So, we need to remember the character or characters. And the story may have a problem, and there might be a solution in the same story, or maybe the story is leaving us with a major question, stock question. So that is why these 5 elements of a story are very, very important. So each one of us who wishes to be a financial literacy storyteller, remember these 5 elements. You may note it down. You may take a screenshot. I've already shared the PPT with Sandeep sir in case he wishes to, which will be shared to all. Okay, now let me move ahead. I've talked about elements of a story. Let me very quickly take you to a very, very few elements of a financial literacy. Now, why I say very few elements? Because sir knows that when I was writing these books for financial literacy, there are so many elements, like it's elements galore. But I have picked up a few elements like needs, wants, savings, borrowing, investment. And today we are going to use a few elements in our stories. So we are going to sort of blend. Oh, yeah, that's great. So the electricity has come to my place, which had probably for some reason. So that's it. Now I'm more visible. Right. So we are going to blend the elements of story and we are going to blend the elements of financial literacy, a few today. And the idea behind this first workshop, I mean, with my first workshop here is that we get an insight, we get an idea how to bring those stories. So for today, I mean, I will definitely try to bring in more sessions as Sir Guides, where we actually create and write our own stories. But nevertheless, so are you all ready? Creating a story for financial literacy skills. Let me quickly see a thumbs up kind of a thing in the chat box very quickly. All of us, lot of thumbs up should be coming right now. That's great, Mr. Sohail. And I would be naming a few names here and there as it comes. So Anupriya Maheshwari ji and all. Right, that's great. That's great. Okay, so here we entered, knock knock, open the door, and I enter into the first story. Oh my God. So the moment you see the screen, I'll wait for a while because I can see on my screen that it takes a few seconds. Meanwhile, you see my, so I'll keep building on. That's great. Hey, somebody is also like, are you overwhelmed when you share emojis with crying? That means you're getting overwhelmed with the session? Hey, don't worry. We're just going to become storytellers and story narrators for the day and forever. Now, so when you see this screen of mine, yeah, now you see. So today's this stories, the objective is saving and investment. The moment you see this picture, what comes to your mind? Recall. Let us have which story comes to your mind. This is from Panchtantra. Let me tell you about Panchtantra. It is said that Panchtantra stories have been written nearly 2,500 years ago. And one of the scholar, Vishnu Dattji, he is the person probably, I mean, who highlights about a lot about Panchtantra. So Panchtantra stories, years, thousands of years ago, were written, and they were not written only to make the children rattle the stories. There was a profound message in every single story, and that is what my role. I am trying to bring most of these stories to life skills and financial literacy. So, what comes to your mind when you see this? Okay, Batuni Kachua, bilkul sahi. Vivo 10 gives the right answer. I wish I could have sent a quick, but I send you a high five and a clap to you. Absolutely. So, there are two geese, and this Kachwa or the tortoise, they were very good friends. I'm going to say the old story, and then I'm going to bring the new story to you. Right. And when I bring the new story, I'm going to bring all the elements as mentioned. Right. And this was guided by Sir that to bring in the elements as I move ahead. So, पुरानी कहानी के अंदर there were two geese and a kachwa and they were very good friends. बहुत अच्छे दोस्त थे, बहुत मिलजुल के रहते थे, and they were very happy with each other. And one fine day there was a drought or a famine in the village, and everybody started leaving the village to go and find some place where they can have food and water. So even the geese decided, and it was very easy for the geese to fly away. So before leaving the village, geese thought they must check about with their friend the tortoise. So they went to the tortoise, and tortoise said, see, I have no way. I mean, I live in water and I have no way that I can leave with you. There is no possibility. Okay. So say, let's say bye bye. आखिरी मुलाकात कीजिए और आप उड़िए और आप अपनी जान बचाइए. So the two geese, but they were very good friends. So they thought that they will have this stick. उस कहानी के अंदर the tortoise actually grasped this stick, but because some people of the village were saying something, so the tortoise opens the mouth to reply or respond back, falls down and dies. But what happens in this story, if we understand that why these stories, the idea is that why these stories were mentioned, right? By Panchatantra or Jatak Kathaएं or our Dadi Nani, why were they telling us these stories? So let's very quickly, what is the idea behind the story? So if we say the idea behind the story is we invest in good relationships, in good friendships, right? So there is an investment which we are making. We don't make anybody our friend. हर एक को थोड़ी बनाते हैं दोस्त. We can know a lot of people. We have an acquaintance with a lot of people. We can be even friendly with a lot of people, but there are few friends, and that is why probably it must have been a friend in need is friend indeed. That is how I perceive and I think. Right. So we do save and invest in our relationship. So the idea is कहानी के पीछे जरूर ऐसा ही रहा होगा. Now, what is the plot or the setting? The setting is a village where everything is very nice, but then a drought and famine comes, and that is how it happens. Who are the characters? Of course, the geese, the tortoise, and the villagers. They are the characters, right? And what are the props being used? The prop is, of course, the stick. What is the problem? The problem is that there is a famine or drought, and there's nothing left in that village, right? Now, how will we say in financial literacy? अब मैं इस कहानी को I'm trying to re-narrate this story and listen very, very carefully when I say this, right? Try to understand this is the first story. We are going to sample a couple of more stories with different elements, right? So listen very carefully. So once upon a time, there was a village where lived two geese and a tortoise as friends, and they were very good friends. One day, there was a drought or famine in this village, but the geese and the tortoise, they had invested safely, and they were saving for this rainy day. Our savings, our investments help us when we need or when we have a problem. But they had saved and invested for this rainy day or for this problem day. So what happened is they decided that they are not going to leave the tortoise behind. And this time the tortoise was sharp enough. I mean, the people keep saying, do you keep listening to people for everything? Because people will be having their own perspectives, even for investments and savings. You don't listen to people and then do. You listen and then you study and then you become a little firm in your mind and you invest and save. The similar thing these birds and the tortoise had done. So this time, the geese told the tortoise, you're not going to open the mouth. And tortoise said, don't worry, I'm not going to open the mouth. I know I have invested safely. So the geese took the tortoise and started flying. The villagers, as usual, shouted. But the tortoise was sharp enough, knew that the investment is at the right place, and did not open the mouth. Reached safely, and the three friends lived happily after with whatever the investments they had made. They started growing from there. Now, how does it sound? How does this story sound to you?
So I'm giving my first opinion on that, Sapna
Sir,
ma'am. So, and teachers, Sapna ma'am is going to, I think, share 4 or 5 stories with you today. And what we are expecting from her and what we're expecting from you all and from our entire team back in Jaipur with the City Palace, we can change the end. We should, I won't say we should change the end. We can change the end. That flexibility we will have. It has to become your story, your thought in it. Why are we using the same premises of the two geese and the tortoise and the stick? There's a reason behind it. I'm sure most of you all have gone through the modern adaptation of the hare and the tortoise race, the turtle race. And MBAs are coming up with different concepts in that, others are coming up with this concept in that. But the interesting part is that if you were able to read out the story to a 5-year-old child with a moral in it that don't talk much, think properly, these all can come up once again in the reference to financial literacy or in your school to anything else. It is not necessarily bringing up to financial literacy only. It can be adapted into many, many more things. अब इसमें खेल कहाँ पर है? It is up the teacher to decide what to do. You can brainstorm with each other. You have to decide upon what is the age of the audience that you're catering to, how much of technical things you want to bring them there, what you want to bring up, what लेवल यू वांट टू टेक इट अप टू. तो ये सब आपके हाथ में है और हर स्कूल का अपना अलग होगा. खासियत क्या होने वाली है ऐसी स्टोरी की, दैट even 5 schools, if they take the same story, or 10 schools take the same story of Panchtantra, that is of that this turtle and the geese, you'll find that they will be having different ends in it. So when we began a session, we said, suppose things like ma'am has taken the concept that financial literacy was there, hence the end was different. So that is why we also say that agar Mother India film mein साहूकार के बजाय बैंक मनी लेंडर होता तो पिक्चर का एंड भी अलग होता, बिकॉज वो प्रॉब्लम्स होती ही नहीं. सुनील वुड हैव नॉट बीन किल्ड इन द फिल्म बिकॉज, और मे बी राजकुमार इन दैट फिल्म वुड हैव नॉट लेफ्ट होम एंड गॉन, बिकॉज उसकी मदर ने जो लोन लिया होता शायद वो लोन लिया नहीं होता. अगर वो फाइनेंशियल लिटरेट होते तो अगर आपको याद है उस फिल्म के अंदर, आई रिमेंबर राजकुमार मदर टेक्स लोन टू गेट हिज सन मैरिड एंड दैट इज वेयर ऑल द लायबिलिटीज बिगिन. तो वो प्रेशर इतना आता है तो राजकुमार वुड हैव नॉट लेफ्ट द हाउस एंड गॉन. तो ये हमारे लिए अच्छी बात है कि क्या हम उसका एंड ट्वीट कर सकते हैं. दैट इज योर क्रिएटिविटी इन दैट. Another interesting part is, like, of course, we are going to have, I think we're talking about 12 to 15 sessions for you in the coming 3 to 3.5 months. We are trying to keep it only one a week, but let's see what happens. The interesting part also, like, we're coming up with characters like the entire series of मुंशी प्रेमचंद. अब मुंशी प्रेमचंद की मैक्सिमम कहानियों के अंदर गरीबी है तो फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी आएगी. और अगर उसके अंदर फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी आ जाती तो क्या उसका एंड वही होता. So these are the resource people that we're using, that Sapna ma'am has come up on platform here. She's created 4 or 5 stories here. Others also will be coming up with more stories. One resource person is going to come up with the story of Aesop tales, and one is coming up with Akbar and Birbal. Someone is coming up with Vikram Betal. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this can be incorporated. And whenever we of the festival, we do try to get some sponsors. So when I talk to bankers and people like that, they get surprised. 1 to 5 में क्या करेंगे आप? 1 to 5 में क्या करेंगे? मैंने कहा भूल रहे हैं, 1 to 5 में बहुत कहानियां होती, उन्हीं कहानियों को हम खेलेंगे. तो some of them may be attending this session also. I said अब session देख के देखो कि हम क्या करते हैं. So other thing for those who are coming late, not to worry, like someone said that can you reply, can you explain the concept again. वो तो मैम हर कहानी के अंदर 500 पॉइंट्स को दोबारा बताने वाली है. तो you will get an application of it, which I know as a teacher I need applications. I don't need just theory and philosophies. So that is our whole approach. So I'm handing over the baton back to Sapna ma'am.
Thank you.
Just to let you know, Sapna ma'am is one of the leading, she's a professional, I would say, workshop trainer for teachers and schools. And when you see a session, the complete session, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's better that you see the session and say that. I'm just trying to understand one thing here. I'm getting messages that it's not audible. Ankit sir, what could be the reason message aata, I'm not able to hear the voice?
So maybe the network at their end.
Because so I don't need to worry about that. But be rest assured, we are getting this recorded and we are going to share it with you within 2 days of our session. It takes a little time to put it on the Facebook and things like that, on the YouTube. We will be sharing the entire session with you. So you would have not lost out to anything. Great. So back to Sapna ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you once again, sir. Okay, so now as you see, I had already put up this like a picture over here. You've already thought about the story, and the excitement over here is I really wanted, meanwhile sir was speaking, that how many of us had already started thinking up, because the element from financial literacy is over here, that is managing debt, and I've already given you 5 points, which I'll be very soon showing you. Right. And then sir was mentioning about the bankers and everybody, grades 1 to 5. I think sir and me, we are on a common page. I'm already there with grades 1 to 5. In fact, grades 1 to 8 for financial literacy, with little babies, how to talk about financial literacy, they are talking about. Okay. So now in this story, I'm sure everybody remembers, there was anybody, I wish we could have been in a session where everybody could speak together. So do I need to repeat the old story? Okay. I just try to bring it in very, very few words. So this lion, was sleeping, and the rat was troubling the lion again and again. The lion just woke up and with a slap was wanting to kill the lion, the rat. Rat said, okay, though I'm very small, but I can't, I'm very, very sorry. The intention was not to trouble you. The intention was to have fun. I'm very sorry. Please spare me. I don't know what happened that day, but the lion actually left the mouse. And then what happened is, one fine day, the hunters trapped the lion, and then this rat came and bit off the entire net, and the lion was. So, here, the objective of this story, what we've understood is, very soon you're going to see, I've already changed the slide at my end, but then it is visible at your end just a few couple of seconds a little later than what I am trying to show you over here. So the objective over here, what was the objective of the story? The idea behind the story was managing debt. Now, what is debt?
Sapna ma'am, just to mention, there's a 7-second delay for the slide to be
Correct, sir.
visible.
I figured it out by now. That is why, meanwhile, I speak, I try to showcase it over there. So I'm sure now it will be visible over there. And I'm just trying to see on my screen, but maybe it is little more than 7 seconds because 7 seconds are over, but maybe it comes. So now what happens is, let's recall, meanwhile, don't worry, everybody knows by now. So the objective or the elements from financial literacy were, that is, otherwise I'll stop and reshare again. Sometimes what happens is that when you're constantly sharing, then also the share does not happen. So I think I should do one thing. I should stop and reshare again. That will be a better idea. So I'll stop my screen and okay, and I'll reshare. So maybe it is visible now. It happens when you're right. You've left something, and the rat has to repay it back because debt is supposed to be repaid back. That is why it is a debt. People don't run away with debts, and when there is a debt, there is a constant thinking in the mind which is happening. What is the plot of the setting over here? It's again a same jungle where the animals live, and the lion was sleeping, and the rat probably went inside the cave and started jumping on the lion. Who are the characters? This time, the visible characters are the lion and the mouse, and the invisible characters are the hunters. So the hunters are not visible over here. What is the problem? First time there was a problem that the lion was sleeping and the mouse was jumping. Correct? And then the lion spared because mouse requested, pleaded, please leave me. Please spare me. I'm very sorry. I wouldn't do it again. But there will be a time when I'm going to help you back. And lion somehow said, hey, come on, mouse. Such a teeny weeny creature. What are you going to help me with? And then, that is how. But then there was a day. Now, if I have to say this story with financial literacy, listen to me carefully now. So once upon a time, there was a lion who was sleeping peacefully in the jungle. Then came a mouse who saw the lion sleeping and thought that I can have fun. And the mouse started jumping on the lion. Mouse kept jumping up and down, up and down. For a while, the lion did not say anything. But at a point of time, lion woke up and roared and was very angry and caught the mouse and wanted to just kill it away. There was an option to kill the mouse. And the mouse suddenly started pleading, please leave me. Right. So there's a debt. Please leave me. Right. Please spare me. I'm going to pay it back to you someday. And the lion decided it's okay. One fine day, in the same jungle, the hunters saw this lion and wanted to take this lion for the circus. And they threw the net and the lion was trapped. Poor lion could not do of anything, was roaring inside the net. The mouse heard it. And this was the time when he thought that he can pay back. The mouse ran, went to the lion and said, let me try. And the mouse bit the net with its sharp teeth, the incisors. And the lion was free. And the lion said, it's good that I invested in you and you have repaid me back. I'm very thankful. We'll be friends forever. How do you find this story? Isn't it so interesting? It's like so interesting to see this story. I can see again on the screen. The screen, I don't know why it is glued, though I have stopped sharing and I have reshared. But then I don't know. You'll have to tell me that is the screen moving ahead or the screen is like stuck over there. I have stopped sharing right now. As of now, I'm not
Yes,
sharing.
it's only your face we can see right now.
Correct, sir. So now, please let me know. Now, when I share the next story. Please let me know that is the next story the slide visible.
It's intelligent investment also.
Correct, sir. So then my screen on my mobile is stuck up, but otherwise everything is good to go.
So can we have a little discussion, Sapna ma'am, on this story once again?
Sure, sir.
Just to
Sure,
let
sir.
the teachers understand that, see, while, I was reading some of the comments coming up here. So someone even mentioned saving life. So now that is the value that you're taking from this story, which is perfectly fine. And such stories should be open to so many things which are takeaways from them. So you can link it up to life saving, you can link it up to financial literacy, you can link it up to many more things as what you feel like. So the story should not be what I'm sorry to use the word should not be, because I'm not a person who can comment so strongly why it should not be. Well, the original story is there, but we are talking about adaptations. Again, I'm repeating, why are we wanting to adapt adaptations? Because these are timely tested stories for different age groups. And to create, well, some people will be able to create new stories for them. That's great. But there's no harm picking up stories and adapting them. I just got a comment from one of the teachers here on my mobile that she has actually done a full fledged story on Premchand. So what
Yeah.
I'm telling her also is
So
that,
in fact, I was also about to mention when you mentioned I have done
yeah,
Eidgah
yeah,
of Premchand. Yeah. Yes.
ईदगाह भी है. अच्छा, तो उसमें क्या फायदा अभी? तो we do understand that you don't want to share it in the group. It's perfectly fine. You may want to hold on to it. Festival के बाद में तो सब एक दूसरे से share करेंगे ही करेंगे. But till festival, it's perfectly fine for you to hold on to your scripts. But just send it to me on a personal window. Of course, let it come to me through your principal, because then it becomes a little more official about it. And I'll make sure that I do not share it to anyone. But there's a lot of excitement from our point of view when such things happen. We do talk about it, but we do not share it to people. But definitely after the festival, it's your property, of course, but of course everyone is going to share it because you may be performing it. So we've also lined up some sessions with the teachers can share it with their school teachers. But even if you're writing stories, it's good for you to know that we are going to have artificial intelligence sessions of how to